1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is a Thursday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all of our great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, the iHeartRadio app, and streaming live on YouTube. 888-710-4ISN is the number to jump on in. That's 888-710-4476. And you could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. And coming up in 20 minutes from now, he does a great job covering the Dallas Cowboys, the editor-in-chief of Blogging the Boys, and that will be RJ Ochoa, who will join us. Mo Vaughn, the former AL MVP, will stop by at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. We are going to lead with the Dallas Cowboys today. We were going to lead with the Dallas Cowboys today. We were going to talk about Micah Parsons, and we still are. But there is some news on Micah Parsons that just came down 2 minutes ago. I will give that to you in just a second, but what we were going to talk about is all this drama and how there feels to be a shift in the Micah Parsons perception and the way that this is going to play on out with him and the Dallas Cowboys. So the other day, Micah Parsons was spotted in an airport, and everyone's like, well, where the heck is he going? And Jane Slater from the NFL Network made it clear that he was going to get a second opinion on his back. He is dealing with some back injury. And if you're not listening or not watching us and you're only listening to us on the radio, I just put up air quotes on back injury. Like, is that back okay if Jerry Jones said nice things about his agent? Is that back okay if Micah Parsons got a long-term agreement done with the Dallas Cowboys? I would probably say yes. Now, if something seriously comes out about his back that is substantiated, then I'll take those words back. But the Dallas Cowboys have medically cleared Micah Parsons to practice, and now Micah Parsons is saying, yeah, I'm going to get in my second back opinion. I need a second opinion on my back. This is eerily similar to what happened with Jalen Ramsey and the Jacksonville Jaguars, if you remember, circa 2019. Jalen Ramsey no longer wanted to be a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then all of a sudden, he had a back injury. And that back injury was used as an excuse. Oh, I got back tightness. It may not show on the MRI, but I got back tightness. And it's very tough to dispute that. Now, Micah Parsons still has to show up. Micah Parsons still has to be there. But the Cowboys are telling him, you're healthy. But if he keeps on saying, my back hurts, then what are they really going to do? Like, could there be a punitive action? Could they fine him? Could they suspend him? Sure. But we don't really get an answer that way. So I really do believe, and I was someone that thought, oh, Micah's going to stay with the Dallas Cowboys, right? That's what I thought. I still lean that he's going to be on the Dallas Cowboys this season and they'll get a new deal done. But this is ugly. This is contentious. Jerry Jones is not happy with Micah Parsons' agent. And it's one thing, right, if this is just player and owner and then a contract gets settled. This is now player versus owner and also owner versus agent. And it seems as if Micah Parsons has taken the criticism that Jerry Jones has directed towards his agent very personally. And I just am now starting to think, and I will allow myself to now contemplate the idea of Micah Parsons going somewhere else. Now, we've seen many contract disputes before that the player says he wants out, right? It gets ugly. There's social media posts, and then it gets rectified. But in this case, I still lean, if you said to me, Zach, gun to your head, what happens? I still lean that Micah Parsons will be a Dallas Cowboy. But if you tell me we wake up tomorrow and Micah Parsons is on the Green Bay Packers or the LA Rams or the Las Vegas Raiders, you know, whoever you want to throw out there, I wouldn't be shocked by it. Now, here's the latest news. Because this just came down right as we were going on the air. I said, well, we had a good read on what we were going to talk about and lead the show today. But why we were going to talk about it is altered a little bit. You know, slight moderation. So the slight modification is this. Adam Schefter. Shefty. Not just some random person, one of the, the top NFL insider in the business. Several teams have spoken to the Dallas Cowboys about a potential Micah Parsons trade, and for the first time, the Cowboys appear willing to at least listen. That is what sources tell Adam Schefter, Todd Archer, and Dan Graziano. Now, I have not read the entirety of this article. It is long. We just got on the air, and a minute before we got on the air, 2 minutes before we got on the air, boom, this article was posted. But in a follow-up tweet by Adam Schefter, he said, the Cowboys would like to resolve the situation one way or another. In the coming days with their season opener next Thursday against the Philadelphia Eagles, the Cowboys hold their first full practice in preparation for the Eagles on Friday. So here we're at right now with the Dallas Cowboys. We've been in through this with previous seasons. Dak Prescott's contract, CeeDee Lamb's contract. CeeDee got a new deal. Dak, if you remember last year, Sunday as the season started, week 1, when everyone's doing their pregame coverage, boom, the contract got done, the contract got announced. In this case, it is August 28th. We are sitting here on a Thursday. The NFL kicks off a week from today. I will be doing the show actually in South Philadelphia. Our afternoon show, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Zach Gelb Show, in Philadelphia on Thursday. I will be going to that game, covering the game, Eagles and Cowboys. And as we sit here a week out, my original prediction was this. This is what I said when this stuff all first started. This is nothing really to see. This is nothing really to care about because we're all kind of just used to this is how Jerry Jones does business. It's public. It looks contentious. It creates headlines. It creates drama. It keeps the Cowboys in the news all summer long, all offseason long, and then boom, wave of the wand. When push comes to shove and there's a deadline, the deal gets done. And I remember originally saying, my guess, my prediction was that Thursday night, September 4th, as the Eagles are getting ready to drop another Super Bowl banner right in front of the Cowboys' faces, Jerry's going to want his team to be the story. Right now, you would think the Eagles would be the story, But now the Micah Parsons situation has usurped this. And one way or another, this Micah Parsons stuff is going to be talked about in the pregame. Either with an answer that he got traded or there's a new contract, or the speculation of what's going to happen. And my original prediction was that I truly did believe on that Thursday, right as the pregame coverage is starting, that the Cowboys would announce they have a new contract with Micah Parsons. And I was so confident in it. Like, I'm not usually, 100%. I was 100% confident in that. Now, as we sit here, a full week out, the NFL season kicks off next Thursday. I don't know which way this is going to go. And this is, maybe I'm taking the bait here. Maybe my hand is stuck in the trap, and the trap just fell down on me, and they were like, oh, we got you, going for the cheese, Zach, you big rat. Maybe that's what's happening here. But usually I wouldn't take the bait on this. Usually I'd be like, I know better. And I just watched that Cowboys documentary on Jerry Jones on Netflix. I finished it last night. And I thought the most damaging part in that, obviously you get through the whole Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones relationship. But the most damaging part in that, I thought, and it was in the last episode, I believe, or it was either the last or the second to last, they're interviewing Troy Aikman. When Troy Aikman, right, is looking back on when he retired, he said, we know who runs a show in Dallas? It's Jerry. And the reason why he retired is he didn't see the vision, he didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel to get the Cowboys back moving in that direction. And I'm looking with that context, and I'm looking with how the contract disputes played out publicly there, right? How Jerry runs this as not just a sports team, but an entertainment sports team, and emphasize the entertainment aspect of this. And for a while, right, Jerry had so much success early on, the 3 Super Bowl championships. The Cowboys, they haven't been to an NFC championship game or a Super Bowl since the 1995 season. That's a long, long time. I'm 31. I never remember a time where the Dallas Cowboys played in a Super Bowl. I never remember it. Connor is younger than me, doesn't remember it either. We have to go to that old curmudgeon, old man Samter, to have any recollection of what transpired with the Dallas Cowboys. But you look at it now, people my age, people that are Connor's age, they sit there and they go, this is what happens with Dallas. There's a lot of drama. They're a reality TV show. It feels like Jerry Jones is more focused on how do you write the greatest reality TV script than writing a script that leads to winning another Super Bowl. And I'm not saying he doesn't want to win, but when you do something for so many years and no one really tells you no, and no one could really say, oh, Jerry, I'm going to usurp this, you get away with it. And it's a never-ending cycle over and over and over again, which elicits a response from me that whenever there's news like this, I usually 9.9 times out of 10 just ignore the outcome being that, oh, this player's not going to get a contract done. But the fact that now you have two things here working, where it seems like Micah is standing up and fighting back against Jerry Jones, which you didn't have that with CeeDee Lamb. You didn't have that with Dak Prescott. It makes me at least think now with this back injury and how Micah has been on the aggressive attack and he's been fighting back and punching back and countering with Jerry Jones, that there is actually a chance, unlike CeeDee Lamb, unlike Dak Prescott, that Micah Parsons does get traded. And just the other day when all this social media stuff was surfacing, oh, that he's going to get traded to the Green Bay Packers, and we came back from the weekend talking about that, well, there was reporters out there, credible reporters that said, Jerry Jones isn't listening to phone calls now. Well, that has changed. Because once again, according to Adam Schefter, several teams have spoken to the Dallas Cowboys about a potential Micah Parsons trade, and for the first time, the Cowboys are now appear willing to at least listen. So for the first time in a long time with the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm usually pretty good at predicting this, and it's okay to say these words, right? Sometimes talk show hosts don't like to say this. I truly don't know what's going to happen. Like, once again, if you put a gun to my head, I would say that Micah Parsons and the Cowboys get a deal done. But when you factor in the back injury, and now the Cowboys making it public that they're listening to offers, I can't sit here and tell you I thought a month ago that with 100% certainty, 100% Micah Parsons will get a new deal. It'll probably get announced on the Thursday night opening night of the season up against the Eagles. That's what I felt. Now it feels more like 50-50. Now it feels like a flip of the coin. If you make me lean one way or the other, I would say 51, 52% that he gets a deal done with the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to get traded by Thursday necessarily, right? Jerry Jones has made it clear they have him under control for 3 more years, because this year and then the 2 years they have the ability to slap the franchise tag. But if they're not going to trade him by Thursday and they don't get a deal done, is Micah Parsons playing on Thursday? Samter asked me this other day. I'm like, oh, yeah, he's definitely going to play on Thursday. I don't know now, because he could just limp in there, and it behooves him to at least be in the building, and he could take the flight on Wednesday, wake up Thursday, and be like, guys, yeah, I have a back injury. I'm going to watch a game from the luxury box tonight. I'm going to watch a game for the sideline. And then it turns into one of those Chris Jones situations where everyone's talking about the contract that isn't ironed out and the contract that isn't done. So this is fascinating. And for the first time in this saga, I truly do not know what's going to happen. But the Cowboys are now listening to offers, and they're at least taking those phone calls on a possibility of a Micah Parsons trade. And we got to see what this second opinion on the back is. And I don't believe that Micah Parsons has a serious back injury. I don't usually like to question the validity of someone's injury, but if the deal was done, if there wasn't personal shots at the agent, yeah, I don't think his back is hurting right now. But that's where we're at right now. And everyone got to get back tightness. Everyone gets back tightness. And you may look, I got a back MRI. People look at it, they like, doctor goes, oh, you're good. There's no major damage. My back hurts. What are you going to do about it? It's a problem. Some people say that I have back tightness because I'm carrying Samter, Connor, and Stu around all the time. You know, that's just what people are saying here.
I
So the
weigh like
streets are
9
saying,
pounds.
I don't know. You were complaining about your tummy the other day.
I'm still tiny, though. I'm a Oompa Loompa.
When you were when you were picking the lint out of your belly button on the camera, you were like, "Oh yeah, my belly got a little bit big." I usually prop you up, tell you how good you look. All righty, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. RJ Ochoa will join us next, editor-in-chief of Blogging the Boys. What the heck is going to happen with Micah Parsons? We talk to RJ next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show.
Well, another contract dispute with the Dallas Cowboys, and we have a new wrinkle to it. ESPN's Adam Schefter, Todd Archer, and Dan Graziano reporting that several teams have spoken to the Cowboys about a potential Micah Parsons trade. And here's the big news on it. For the first time, Dallas appears willing to at least listen. Let's talk about Micah Parsons' contract. Let's talk about Micah Parsons' back. And let's talk about all the latest with the Dallas Cowboys. We welcome in editor-in-chief of Blogging the Boys. And that, of course, is RJ Ochoa. RJ, appreciate the time. How are you?
I'm pretty tired, Zach. Yeah, so that's kind of how I am, if I'm being honest with you.
Yes, so I'll give you the national perspective of it. So when this stuff all first started to come out, I said to myself, I've seen these disputes enough with Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. It's an offseason full of headlines. The Eagles open up the season with the Cowboys, isolated spot. They'll probably wait till that Thursday, and boom, the new deal will just magically get done. Now I sit here, and I don't know what the F is going to happen from now until Thursday. And this is now, for the first time, I'm seriously contemplating, when you also factor in the mysterious back, if Micah Parsons is ever going to sign a long-term contract with the Dallas Cowboys. How about yourself?
Yeah, I would add that the only other sort of conspiracy theory, if you will, was that it was a form of pseudo PR for the Netflix documentary that came out last week, and that theory's kind of been put to bed with having been a week and some change. I think that everyone locally shared that sentiment. This also felt very similar to Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. We're past the point of CeeDee Lamb's negotiation, and when that came to a close last year, obviously Dak signed on the day the season began, so not quite there. I do think that people are very tired. I mean, I sort of joke, but that's kind of how people feel about this at this point. It doesn't have the same sex appeal as, Myles Garrett requested a trade, Terry McLaurin. I think everybody thought it was a bit performative or theatrical in terms of just being a means to an end, particularly when Micah released the statement that he did. But now it does feel like the Cowboys either are legitimately interested in the possibility, or they've just been scorned and want to teach Micah and everybody a lesson that if you fly too close to their son, you will get caught in its particular race.
When you're looking at this situation and you're seeing the reaction from Cowboys fans, I know you said people are tired. Is that people being tired with another year of Jerry Jones drama, or is it now shifted where people just go, I can't stand all the drama now for Micah Parsons?
I think it's both, not to ride the fence, but a big point of discussion lately has been that the playoff loss to Green Bay a year and a half ago was particularly damaging to the fan base and achieved a particularly different level of apathy. So it hasn't helped that the seeding negotiations, the DAC negotiations, and obviously the Micah negotiations have come, in that sort of after death time, if you will. I do think that there now is a point of exhaustion for Micah specifically from some fans. I think you still got the pitchfork people like myself who are only attacking the front office. But I think that some of it is some people feel rubbed the wrong way by Micah's quote unquote antics, being on the training table and seeking a second opinion on a back injury that they don't believe is real. And I think, my wife is a clinical psychologist, so I sort of have absorbed some stuff from her. Some of it is just that we're 7 days away from the Cowboys playing a football game, not Dallas Micah Parsons is. And so I think people are ready to kind of swear their allegiance to their team, and it's all kind of coalescing in a moment that up till now, it has felt like Micah and his representation have been driving this drama train. But right now, it does kind of feel like the Cowboys have taken the controls.
Here's the one thing that I still don't get. And we're getting, right, the Jerry Jones side of it, RJ Ochoa, as we see him do all these interviews. You heard him with Michael Irvin. You heard him with Stephen A. And he keeps on attacking the agent. Like, why does he keep on attacking the agent here? Because that's the part to me where I said, okay, you didn't really see Dak fight back. You didn't really see CeeDee Lamb fight back. And once Jerry started attacking the agent, that's when it feels as if, okay, maybe this is a chance where the relationship is so fractured that it's beyond repair at this point.
I think that, again, to play clinical psychologist, maybe it's because there's a belief that the relationship will ultimately be worked out, that a deal will be struck, and Micah's the one they have to deal with every single day. Many people have pointed out, obviously it's not a secret, that David Mulugeta represents a number of people in the NFL. He happens to represent a star wide receiver who the Cowboys traded for this offseason in George Pickens, who's in a contract year. But, the finger wagging at the agent began long ago, way early in the offseason at the owners' meetings in Florida. Yeah. Jerry Jones was obviously talking about this and said, I don't even know his name. So this line in the sand was drawn a very, very long time ago. It's just kind of been pointed to over and over and over again.
What's your best guess right now? We're 7 days away. Is Micah Parsons on the field on Thursday night up against the Eagles?
I think my new sort of primary theory, the one that consumes the biggest sort of piece of the pie in my brain, is that Micah plays to some degree this season, enough to have the year toll relative to his contract, citing a back injury or whatever. Again, I'm not trying to be accusatory of anything, and that the Cowboys trade him in the offseason. I've flown to this theory much more. I mean, because at every turn, the trade request and even a week ago when Jerry was speaking to Michael Irvin and Stephen A., it still felt like this ultimately gets done. And that's second, I think, on my list of theoretical possibilities here. But, I mean, again, at the expense of sounding way too dramatic and way too Cowboys-y, this is different. I mean, this is a very different saga than not just Dak or CeeDee, but that Des Bryant ever was, or DeMarcus Lawrence, or anybody. I know people are so quick to bring up Emmitt Smith, particularly because of the documentary. This is a very different type of thing, and it seems that both sides are willing to go the distance. It's just a matter of all of us defining what that 12 rounds ultimately looks like.
Yeah, and when it comes to him playing on Thursday, I feel as if he's going to get on that plane Wednesday, and then Thursday he's going to say, oh, the back hurts, and then maybe you do a little Chris Jones playbook where you're there at the game from a few years ago, and everyone's talking about you, and you're not actually playing in the game. Jones obviously was in the luxury box, and he had a public contract dispute as well.
Yeah, and that's, what everyone seems to think. Again, not to accuse anybody of anything directly or indirectly, but that this seeking of a second opinion on the back injury is a way to disguise or cover up the contract negotiation disputes or whatever it may be. As you've mentioned, I think we're all logical and adult enough to be able to say this looks like a duck and quacks like a duck type of thing. And that's why, I mean, it does seem like maybe it's a matter of he suits up, he plays, and, 2 series in, it's, oh, my foot hurts. Oh, my back flared up, or whatever. I mean, there's no telling, what this thing could ultimately look like. I've thought for a while that we would at some point get a return serve from Micah. I thought we'd get one last week. I thought he might not show up to Friday night's preseason finale. But I do think him showing up was a bit of a return serve. For all the accusations, I wouldn't even say accusations, but declarations that Micah Parsons is a podcaster, he has not offered any public comment in a very long time on all of this, really since his statement. And as you mentioned, Jerry Jones certainly has. So I do wonder if, because this feels like a threat, this news in the last 20 minutes, obviously, like from the Cowboys, hey, if you really want to go this route, we hope you enjoy cheese curds because Green Bay is calling. I do wonder if Micah and his camp feel like, okay, we've tried to just lie and chill in all this and hope that it goes our way. Now is the time to push a little. But I certainly right now don't think it's all just going to get sewn up and everything's going to be happy the way it was with CD and with Dak in different respects, obviously.
Now, I know what you predicted was that he'll play at some point this year and then get traded in the offseason. If he got dealt from now until the start of the season on Thursday, would that be a surprise to you? Or would at this point you say, hey, anything's on the table?
Zach, the season starts in 7 days, and these are fair questions. So at this point, nothing is a surprise, right? Like at this point, I don't know how you could say, no, that's impossible. There's just no way. How could we're this far down the rabbit hole? I don't know if you've seen Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange. This is like the one dimension where all the people were origami shapes and stuff like this. Like everything is completely able to be believed and conceived in this alternate dimension. And so anyone who's saying that this was predictable is fair and is accurate in some sense that the Cowboys were going to drag this out for and ever and ever and ever. But I don't think anybody thought that Micah would request a trade and that if he did so, he would be so, intimate about it in revealing and divulging details about his conversation with Jerry, calling out Stephen Jones directly. And that was 27 days ago. So, I mean, that's been in the oven and in the smoker, accumulating cook. And so at some point it does either, just char over or you pull it out and eat it. And I don't know what side this is going to end up with and who's going to end up eating or not eating or ordering takeout or whatever. That's why anything truly, I would believe it if you told me that they trade him tomorrow because we're at this point again.
Right now, I know you said the cheese curds, and there's been so much social media speculation. Would you say the Packers would be the leader in the clubhouse if they do trade him, and then who would probably follow them?
The Packers appear to be the favorite based on an archaic thought that they are the least fun climate to live in if you're an NFL player. And so they seem to be, again, through this conspiracy theory, the highest level of punishment that you could levy at Micah Parsons. Again, you don't appreciate living in Dallas and what this life has to offer. Okay, again, we'll send you to Green Bay and we'll let Jordan Love show you, the ropes and where everybody parked their cars on the backyards before the games at Lambeau. If we're being real and fair and objective, I don't know how the Bills aren't calling. I don't know how the Ravens aren't calling. I think if you're the Cowboys, obviously you wouldn't want to trade him within obviously the division, but certainly within the conference. And that's why, I mentioned to you that Packers loss at the end of the 23 season it is an inflection point in this franchise's history. So to hand Micah to them as you're still recovering from that would really just, I think, be a spit in the eye for a lot of people. But at this point, I do think there is this rage against Micah from a sector of the fan base that they might not even care where he goes. They just care about what you're getting in return. I think Buffalo makes the most sense. If I were Brandon Beane, I'd be on the phone right now. I'd say, hey, if you're really willing to do this and go down this road, by all means. And that would also allow me to still root for Micah. It'd be tough in Green Bay.
I'll tell you, looking back at the Netflix documentaries, wrapping up with RJ Ochoa, talking about all this Micah Parsons news, is now the Cowboys, according to Adam Schefter, are listening to offers on potentially trading Micah Parsons. There was clearly a lot in there. You rehashed the Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones beef, the Emmitt Smith contract, Michael Irvin with all of his issues as well. But I thought the most damaging part, and it was weird because there'd be moments where, the players would be defending Jimmy and then they're loving Jerry. It's like when parents are getting divorced and you ask your kid, well, who's your favorite, right, your parent? It's difficult at times. But when they got to Troy Aikman, and Troy was retiring, And he made it clear in that documentary, and I'm, summarizing what was basically said, taking excerpts. He goes, we know this is Jerry's team, and I just didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And now you fast forward all these years later, and it's like, I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel as well. And we're in the same spot when Troy Aikman walked away and retired.
Well, let me say first that I would never speak for Troy or anybody other than myself, obviously. But I can tell you, as someone who's covered this team, that Troy has expressed interest in being the general manager of the Dallas Cowboys. Troy, to me, again, in my experience as a fan of the team and as somebody who covers them professionally, he is the eldest child. He is the person who knows the worth of the family business and is clearly bothered by what it is and what it's become and the way it continues to perpetuate. And I think that that's pretty obvious from Troy when you hear him call games. And he obviously used to call a lot of games as Fox's top color analyst. And so you would hear this every single week. And I think a lot of people appreciate that from Troy, appreciate that forthrightness and willingness to say that, because with all due respect to Michael Irvin and Emmett, they're a little bit more buddy with Jerry. Not that, Troy isn't, but Troy to this entire point was someone who helped bridge the gap to get Jimmy Johnson to the Ring of Honor. He truly has always kind of carried everybody and done what's in the best interest of the team. And it clearly does bother him that he helped build this mansion and this, elaborate company, whatever you want to call it, and that, they aren't who he thought they were. And so I agree with that. I think that read is completely accurate. And that's why, I can also say that in my job, when Troy speaks, it's notable. When Troy speaks, it isn't hot takey. It isn't to make a quote. It's because it's what he truly believes, and he will not hold back. He will criticize Jerry. He will criticize Dak Prescott. He's criticized Tony Romo. And that's why a lot of people feel like he should be the general manager.
Last thing I'll ask you here, and I'm doing some games this year, Cowboys games for Compass Media Networks, doing the studio hosting, so I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, the Micah situation and how it ends is an unknown, but when we look at the rest of this team, new coach with Brian Schottenheimer, Dak Prescott coming back from the injury, the addition of George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, one of the best wide receivers in the league. For the players that at least we know for sure are going to be there, obviously you don't know if they're going to be healthy throughout the entirety of the season, and Jerry will be the first one to tell you that these days. What are you kind of expecting that the Cowboys accomplish this season?
I think, anywhere you look right now, their projected win total is somewhere between 7.5 to 8.5, again, depending on the book in question. I think it's pretty obvious. I have zero qualms with criticizing this team or holding their feet to the fire. But I think that's absurd. I think there's a natural Cowboys tax, and I appreciated you offering the national perspective, because that happens, right? The memes and the screaming about who they are just kind of tend to drown out some of the actual reality. Not all the time, but sometimes. And this is a team that won 7 games last year with Dak Prescott missing over half of the season, and the front office willfully sabotaging them at every single turn. It's not an exaggeration to say their only free agent additions last year were Eric Kendricks and Zeke Elliott. That's it. And so Dak Prescott is, I don't care where you rank him, he's too good of a quarterback for his team to bottom out. And so they will win somewhere between 9 to 11 games. And some of that depends on, are they the team that throw a Hail Mary up and the Bears forget how to play football for a second? Is that good enough to win a division that hasn't seen a repeat champion in over 20 years? I don't know, because I wouldn't bet against these Eagles in a lot of ways, starting with next Thursday night. But I think that they'll be right in that mix. I promise you, Zach, you'll be doing your Christmas shopping, and they will be relevant. They will be right there. They will be well in the hunt, not just for the division, but for a wild card. And in a world where you get 3 of them, I certainly think they're in the playoffs. Does fate smile upon them and give them an easier path than they've had in recent history? We do forget that they've run into the mighty Kyle Shanahan 49ers and act like they're such losers for losing to teams that we greatly respect. I don't know, but I can promise you as evidence that they will be highly entertaining. They will never, ever, ever be Succession and walk away with all the Emmys, but they will damn sure be Jersey Shore, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, or anything on Bravo, and making sure you're watching before you get to anything else.
He's one of the best covering the Cowboys, editor-in-chief of Blogging the Boys. He's RJ Ochoa. RJ, appreciate the time. Thanks for the insight.
Thanks for having me, Zach. Have a good week.
There you go. RJ Ochoa with us. A lot to react to there. We'll take a timeout. We'll come on back after these short messages. Update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Lights, camera, action for college football. Week 1 begins tonight with one game involving a team in the top 25 as Boise State meets South Florida in Tampa. After all of the offseason preparation, 25th-ranked Broncos head coach Spencer Danielson has one simple message for his team. Let's go.
All the stuff you're going through, the travel, the hotel, the different environment, that's just stuff we got to continue to push forward to, and our guys are prepared, and we still got a little bit more work to do. That's what we're going to continue to prep tonight, go through tomorrow, and then my message to our team on Thursday is, man, go play the game. Go play the game, go cut it loose. Proud of the job our coaches have done, proud of the job our players have done, and now we got to finish it up.
Baseball this afternoon, and the Red Sox sweep the Orioles, taking the finale by a score of 3-2. Right now, the Diamondbacks, trying to avoid being swept by the Brewers, lead Milwaukee by a score of 6-4. In the top half of the fifth, Sal Frelick led off with a home run and to spark a very offensive game so far. The Colorado Rockies and Astros are even at 3 in the top of the sixth. The Pirates and Cardinals tied at 1, bottom 5. Second-seeded Iga Swiatek, a 3-set winner today in action at the U.S. Open, moving into the third round. I'm Rick Jackson.
Hey, it's Perloff from the Maggie and Perloff Show. Get all your sports talk here on the Infinity Sports Network. Always available on the free Odyssey app.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, welcome back in. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. This portion of the show is sponsored by the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event going on now. Get deals so right it almost feels wrong. Don't miss out. Visit your local Hyundai dealer today. There is a tweet for everything, my friends. So this is just sent to me by Psych Mampter. Zach Gelb, I'd never thought Parsons would be traded until I just saw this. This is from August 1st. Ryan_Hickey3. Chances the Cowboys trade Micah Parsons. Samter, want to take a guess on what you think?
Zero.
0%. Chances by week 1 that Micah is the highest paid defensive player in NFL history. You want to take a number? I guess at the number?
100.
100%.
That still might work, just not with the Cowboys.
This is Jerry Jones to a T. When push comes to shove, the deal will get done, but he wants to ensure the Cowboys' relevance at every step of the way. So you can keep that in your scorebook. That is Ryan Hot Take Hickey, where his predictions are usually wrong. Terrence Parsons Jr., Micah Parsons' brother, has chimed in. Adam Schefter, once again, 50 minutes ago. Several teams have spoken to the Dallas Cowboys about a potential Micah Parsons trade, and for the first time, the Cowboys appear willing to at least listen. Sources tell Todd Archer, Dan Graziano, and Shefty. Terrence Parsons Jr. tweets out, just the point it never had to get to. Dun, dun. So there you go on that. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Let's go out to California. We welcome in a friend of the Zach Gelb Show. He goes by Big Friendly. Big Friendly, how are you?
Good afternoon, Zachary Doodah. And you can tell Maliki Kaliki Hickey, don't worry about it. So now, Zachy, you guys are into assumptions and what ifs, right?
We get news and we react to it, yeah.
Okay. I posed this question the other day to the Bionic EP, EJ, and Daddy Cool. Now, there was a tweet that went out that somebody posted Parsons in a Ram jersey.
Okay.
Aaron Donald commented and said, okay, you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Now,
he said he would come out of retirement if they got Micah Parsons.
Okay. Now, I'm not related to Cleo. I've never owned a crystal ball, but in the late words of James Brown, I got a feeling. So listen, he now went and got a second doctor's opinion. I feel like Michael Parsons has already mentally checked out. He's thinking, you know what? If I can force it, and not even to the Rams, because I kind of agree with P. Matty, bookends at the Raiders would be deadly. But I feel, and this is my opinion, I want your answer.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Michael Parsons has a better chance winning a Super Bowl with the healthy Cowboys, or if he was traded to the Rams, would he have a better chance winning with the healthy Rams plus Aaron Donald?
Well, it's not even close. You could tell me that the Rams have an injured Matthew Stafford, which they do right now, and I would still take the Rams. The Rams are a football team that made the postseason last year. The Rams, they almost beat the Eagles in snowy Philadelphia. The Rams right now run circles, absolute circles, big friendly, around the Dallas Cowboys. Like, the only thing holding the Rams back this year is the health of their quarterback. You look at them, and you look at the wide receiver position. You got Puka Nacua, you got Devontae Adams, you got Kyron Williams defensively. And I don't know if Donald will actually come back or not, but if they had Micah Parsons, that defense is already really damn good with Fisk, with Jared Verse, who won the Defensive Rookie of the Year, Young and Turner, and you got Sean McVay, who's a better coach than Schottenheimer. It's not even close.
Well, I agree with all that. And to be honest, when I seen that tweet, as a Rams fan, it kind of hurt my feelings because I was like, well, dang, man, you should want to come back and play with Verse and Turner and Fisk, these young cats.
Yeah.
But that is something to think about. But then –
And you know what also, Big Friendly? They also got the best backup quarterback in football. Your man's Jimmy G.
Thank you. Jimmy Gallons, baby. I'm trying to tell you.
Said it with some sarcasm.
You guys – you're talking bad. No, but I'm not going to be Chris Pickett. We ain't going to free Jimmy G. We're going to keep him on the bench for as long as we can. You know?
Chris Pickett.
But no.
Yeah.
But I look at it like this, and I could be a Homer Simpson, and I could be drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
But when I sit down and I watch what the Rams are doing, because a couple years ago when we got Matthew Stafford, what was our motto? F those picks.
Yeah, I would say F those
Get
picks
rid of
right
them.
now. And you know what?
Right.
When that comment came out, Big Friendly, but when I saw that on social media, I tweeted about it, and I even talked about it on the show. I said, if I'm Les Snead, say F them picks one more time and go win another Super Bowl. And hey, if that's the prize, you get Micah Parsons. And even Aaron Donald just says, hey, I was just kidding, I'm not coming back. You still got Micah bleeping Parsons with all those other guys that you got. So absolutely, the Rams should be on the phone.
One last question before you let me go, Zachary.
Yeah.
Did you happen to see the video of Aaron Donald and Jared Verse working out?
Oh my God, Aaron Donald, he was making Jared Verse puke.
Thank you. So this is my question: do you think that Aaron Donald is not in football shape?
Oh, he absolutely.
If he was having a defensive rookie of the year throwing up within 30 minutes of the workout.
Aaron Donald is a freak, and I mean that in a nice way. And Aaron Donald is someone that retired early because there was nothing left for him to accomplish. So, Big Friendly, thanks for the phone call. You were the best. You know, I had someone reach out to me in another market, right? You know, we do the national show, but I'm based out of New York. And I had another producer reach out to me. They go, what are your opinions on phone callers? And I said, some phone callers stink. Other phone callers are great. But there has to be a purpose. Don't just take calls to take calls, but there has to be a purpose on why you take a call. Like, just don't be lazy and just take calls, and let the callers just go on and 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 on, and they're saying nothing. Big Friendly is a great caller. I've only talked to him 3 or 4 times. He is a great caller. And we don't usually let callers go on for 7-8 minutes. You know, but Big Friendly is someone that you would have thought that he was practically a guest right there. I know what you're going to say. You let Chris in California go on for... If you're a great caller, I'll let you go. If you add something to the show, I'll let you go. But if you just call in and you're not ready and you stink, then yeah, you're getting cut off within 30 seconds.
I don't know if Chris is a great caller. He just adds to the show.
No, but he's a piñata.
Yeah, that's it.
And what I mean by that is he has such a crazy opinion on Kenny Pickett. And it drives people nuts. And there's some days I won't entertain it. There's other days I'll entertain it. And I'll just poke and poke and poke and poke. And we'll see how far that this is willing to go. All right, I'll give you a Micah Parsons pie chart right now. This is going to be, where is Micah Parsons going to sign his next contract? I'm actually going south on this. 40% now it's with the Cowboys. That number has drastically been shrinking. 20%, I will say the Green Bay Packers. I am then going to go 12% with the LA Rams, 8% with the Denver Broncos, 6% with the Los Angeles Chargers, 5% the New England Patriots. Tom Brady has a relationship with Micah Parsons. I'll put the Raiders at 4%, and then the Lions at 3%, and the Bills at 2%. Now, I think the Buffalo Bills should be saying F them picks as well. But we've heard a lot of rumors through the years about pass rushers maybe potentially getting traded to Buffalo. And it seems like there's always talk with the Bills getting someone, even running backs, like when Christian McCaffrey was getting traded in the Brandon Bean connections there, and it just doesn't come to fruition. So 40% to the Cowboys, 20% to the Green Bay Packers, 12% to the Rams, 8% to the Broncos, 6% to the Chargers, 5% to the Patriots, 4% to the Raiders, 3% to the Lions, and 2% to the Bills. And yes, look at that math. Well, you can't really see it because my screen's all messed up, but 100% right there on the math, and you still really can't even see it. Let's see right now on YouTube. No, yeah, a little bit. Not great. 100%. So we got the numbers correctly. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. The Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? They're not only filling the airtime of the show for the entirety of the first hour, but the Dallas Cowboys are listening to offers, according to Adam Schefter, for Micah Parsons. Here we go. Mo Vaughn, 1995 AL MVP. He will join us next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, hour number 2 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. The big news of the day is obviously Micah Parsons. And the Dallas Cowboys are listening to trade offers now for Micah Parsons. It does not mean that they're going to trade him, but the fact that they're at least listening to trade offers is something of significance. There has been some already speculation since this news came out about an hour ago on what team Micah Parsons could potentially be going to. Per Jeremy Fowler at ESPN, the Ravens, Packers, and Cardinals are the teams that make the most sense in league circles for Micah Parsons, according to Jeremy Fowler. So take that for what it's worth. Ravens, Packers, and Cardinals. The Cardinals would just seem as if, okay, that's a player that makes them relevant again. I still have a ton of questions, right, about Kyler Murray. I love Marvin Harrison Jr. You got another year here of Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon. I don't think there's a lot of pressure on the Cardinals because it feels like the Cardinals are irrelevant. But if they get Micah Parsons, am I going to sit there and think they're a playoff team? It improves their chances, but I wouldn't feel very confident and be very confident in them making the playoffs. The Packers, I think it makes them from a very good team to a great team. I think that's their missing piece, right? You finally draft a wide receiver in the first round for the first time since 2002. You got another year of Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs on the defense side of the ball. You got a very underrated player in Kenny Clark. You got Xavier McKinney, who is a top 30, top 40 player these days in the NFL. That would be a move where the Packers are saying, hey, we're not messing around anymore. And if he goes to the Baltimore Ravens, oh, man. I didn't even consider the Ravens, but that's one of those teams, and maybe that's because when Myles Garrett, right, requested a trade, you didn't think, okay, that the Browns would trade him to the Ravens. Ultimately, they got the deal done with the Cleveland Browns and Myles Garrett. But you look at the Ravens, they're definitely a team that if you want to go off Big Friendly's idea and the Aaron Donald idea as well of the Rams, why wouldn't the Ravens also say bleep those picks and go on out there and maybe get a deal done? Now, Clarence Hill Jr. covers the Cowboys. He says sources confirm that the Cowboys are now open to listening to offers for defensive end Micah Parsons. So you confirm the Adam Schefter report. And Clarence also adds, until they give the agent permission to speak to teams and negotiate a contract, what does this really mean? That's another point, too. Because you're not giving up 2 first-round picks, a player maybe, and then some to go get Micah Parsons. and not knowing if you're going to be able to get the long-term deal done or not. You're just not going to do that. Now, I talked to one NFL general manager. It was kind of in like jest the other day. But I told you about that story with that one NFL GM that I was texting them and they lost my number and they had the whole like transfer of contacts, all that. And when I told that NFL general manager, I should have said I was Jerry Jones and I want Micah Parsons for 2 first-round picks, that general manager said, oh, well, that would be enough, obviously, for us to give up to get the deal done. So at least 2 first-round picks probably for Micah Parsons if he does get traded. Let's welcome in a 1995 AL MVP. He has launched a podcast. Mo Vaughn and Perfect Game are launching MVP, the Mo Vaughn podcast. Now joining us is Mo Vaughn. Mo, how you been? Appreciate the time as always.
Zach, how you doing, bro? You're over there talking about my Cowboys too. Unbelievable. Like I don't understand why we play these games. We're always playing these games, man, and then we'll get stuff done, but we'll see.
How'd you become a Cowboys fan? Just wondering.
So I'm from Connecticut. My dad was a big Pittsburgh Steelers guy. So, 70s, I was always just taking the other team.
That's awesome.
That's how this whole thing started. But man, it's been a rough 30 years. But I'm a realist fan. I'm one of those guys that, I know when we're good. I know what we're lacking. I know, when we have a chance to win. I'm not that, that crazy fan that's like, we're always going to go to the playoffs and we're going to always win. We're going to win the Super Bowl this year. So I've been struggling. I've been struggling for a little while now.
Well, most people know you as Mo Vaughn, the 1995 AL MVP. Now we know you as Mo Vaughn as a fan of the Dallas Cowboys. And we know this offseason has been crazy. Now they're listening to offers for Micah Parsons. Jerry Jones taking shots at Micah Parsons' agent. It's really messy. And for the first time this offseason, I'm really thinking maybe he's not going to sign a long-term deal. Maybe they don't get this thing done down the road. If you could sit with Jerry Jones, what would you say to him right now? What would your message be? You understand the player side of this.
I understand all sides. He's trying to create a narrative. It's a shame. It happens in sports all the time. But we need this. We need this guy. This guy is a game changer who can really affect the team. And without him, we're going to struggle a little bit anyway defensively, let alone without him. It's going to be a real struggle. So let's stop worrying about all these other things and creating these narratives and different headlines. Sign the guy. Now you got to be careful when you sign the guy because he hasn't been training all season. He hasn't been out there, for preseason. Now we got soft tissue issues we got to worry about, growings and different things. So we got to get him in the fray. Got to get him back on the field. How many plays if he signs this week? How many plays is he going to play? Thursday. So it's just hampering. It's just hampering, and it just makes the organization look a certain way that you really don't want it to look.
But let's say tomorrow, Mo Vaughn, you get an alert on your phone, and it's Micah Parsons, let's say, gets traded to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks and then some. Would you be disgusted as a Cowboys fan?
Absolutely. I mean, as a fan, I understand. I would be very, very hurt. On the ownership side, though, that is basically telling us we're in a rebuild and we're trying to do something similar to the Jimmy Johnson thing that he did with Herschel Walker, and we're trying to rebuild. But we never get, as a Cowboy fan, we never get these real answers. We never know what we're really trying to do, and that's why the stain comes out.
What are your expectations this year for this team? Like, if they do have Micah, and he plays at some point, but what are you thinking, Mo Vaughn, this year?
Listen, the Eagles are the class of the league, so we're gonna play them twice. That's gonna be tough. I think Washington looks like they've gotten better. Let's see if they do. The Giants seem like they've gotten better. Let's see what happens there. I think it's gonna be a struggle. I don't really know. what are we, 9-8? You know, who knows, what we're gonna do, but it's not gonna be easy. There's gonna be some serious growing pains. We got offensive line. We need some bigger defensive linemen. We got to find linebackers that can tackle. It's just the things that we got to do, to really get back to where it was. I saw when it was greatness. So, I'm kind of used to that. You can't have that. I tell people all the time, who was the great Packers coach? All right, 60s, Lombardi.
Yeah, Vince Lombardi. Yeah.
70s, the cat from Chuck Noll. 80s, Bill Walsh. 90s, Jimmy Johnson / a couple, maybe another guy. 2000, Belichick's on the back. 2000, you don't always get to have these great coaches. They just don't come by like nothing. When you have one, you got to keep one, and that's what's happened to us.
Talking to Mo Vaughn right now. So you're coming out with this podcast, Mo Vaughn and the Perfect Gamer launching MVP, the Mo Vaughn podcast. What can we expect when we tune in?
I just love, I didn't know how it was going to go. I'm looking you straight in your eyes, and I'm telling you, every time I've had a mic in front of me, it has always been about deflecting, keeping, don't say too much, don't poke the bear, don't piss in the wind. That's what it's always been. And I wasn't sure how I was going to react in the situation. But once I got into this situation, and you start talking with guys, and I think I have some insight in what I'm talking about. I could dig down, underneath the surface of the game and figure out where people's heads are. It's been a great thing for me. I hope it's been great for the short while it's been going for all of my guests. But it's been a great situation for me where I'm talking the game. And I also say this, and I think this is very important. There's very few Alan Trammell, Derek Jeter, Cal Ripken, George Brett, just, Tony Gwynn. There's very few of those guys. Most of us, 90% of us that retire or we leave the game, it's always with some angst or disdain. And I feel, for me personally, the podcast has given me the ability to express those things. Whatever narrative was said at that time, you get to talk about it. And I think it's a little bit of therapy. I think it's a little bit good. So I just try to illuminate the guys. I always say, let me know, give me your credentials. What you got on your credit card? Talk the game, let it out, speak the game, have fun with it. And it's been pretty good.
Oh, as someone that's 31, right? Like, I grew up watching Mo Vaughn, and I'm a Met fan. And when they signed you right away, I told my mom, take me to Modell's. I got to get the Mo Vaughn T-shirt. Obviously, it didn't work out in New York, but how do you kind of look back at that entire New York experience?
And those are the things I'm talking about. I go, I leave the Red Sox. I didn't want to leave the Red Sox. In 99, I'm over in LA. Then the first game of the year, I trip. I fall into the dugout. That's why they got those dugout railings for me. I never gave LA what I could have. You know what I'm saying? I never came back. I blew my bicep off trying to compensate and things like that. So you look at the Mets. I'm from the tri-state area. I went to school in Paulding, New York. I'm from Connecticut. I went to college in Jersey. You think I wanted to come back and not perform? So those are the things that you got to kind of live with and try to get them in their proper place. And talking about those things, even now, just talking about it, it's helpful, in my everyday life.
Yeah, and my dad would take me to Shea Stadium. My mom would all the time. And when you talk to your parents, they would always talk about Darryl Strawberry. And I'll tell you, my best friend Alex and I, and we have a Mets partial plan now, we still talk about Mo Vaughn, right, with that big scoreboard out in right field in Shea Stadium, that Budweiser scoreboard, and we go, Mo Vaughn, and then it became Carlos Delgado. You kind of started that for my generation. Right. Mo Vaughn would tattoo at times that scoreboard, and we've never seen someone just hit the scoreboard with that much force. It was pretty damn cool.
Listen, that was my one great thing I did. I wish I had, all when you don't play well, in your heart you go, man, I wish I could have done better. I wish I could have given my family, my people that, where I came from, what are we watching? I think it was WPIX Channel 11 when I was younger, right? You're watching the Yankees, and then we were watching something else. The Mets were on another channel. So, I'm right in Norwalk, Connecticut. So that's Southern New England. So we're getting both. I just wish I had played well. I wish I played better because that's really what I wanted to do.
And you look at the Mets now, right? They were hot to start the season. They got Juan Soto, Steve Cohen, all the money that he's spending. And for the last few months, they've been a bad baseball team. But this last week up against the Phillies, they swept them. And now people are looking like they're turning around. Nolan, the young pitcher, obviously thrown into the mix. You see Jonathan coming up on Friday night. When you get youngsters, when a team is maybe struggling that has all these proven guys, and they provide a little bit of a juice and a spark to the clubhouse, what could that do for a team? Because, hey, with how ugly it's been for the Mets, they're still going to be a playoff team this year.
I never went to the World Series, but I do think when you go 7 games ALCS and you lose that, I do feel you got to get that juice back.
Mm-hmm.
You've been there. You were that close. So, you're worried about the race. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down. But you're going to be on the playoffs. And I guarantee you, when the Mets get in the playoffs, they're going to turn up all those and grab from all those experiences they had in, last year going to the championship. And they're gonna use that, and they're gonna be fine. There's too much talent on the team for this to happen. Mets are one of those teams that are scary. You don't want to, you get beat on them now. You beat on them now. They'll hang around, and then they'll get in the playoffs. And now you got to face some dudes that really know how to play. And your sights and your height, you're more heightened because you're in that situation. They're gonna play well.
Let me also just get your perspective, right? You talked about your struggles in New York. Obviously, you won an MVP in Boston, but that's another major city. A guy like Anthony Volpe with the Yankees is just having a horrible season. If he hit you up and said, hey, Mo, you've been through the good times, you've been through the bad times, what advice would you give me? What would you say to him?
I would, if Anthony Volpe called me, I'd fly to his house because I know what it feels like. Everybody's beating on you, everybody's talking. You're following to me what I call the best baseball player in playoff history in Jared Dieter, the guy that comes through all the time. So you got all these things. Get somebody to come in there who has played that position and talk to him. Calm him down. It's words. Words trigger good things if you say them the right way. Figure out, this kid is talented. He played great college baseball. He played at Vanderbilt. He didn't forget to play. Help him, work with him, talk to him about certain things. If I could call him now, I wouldn't be like, dude, chill out. I know it's hard. You're in a tough environment, but you can still play this game. Let's get out and figure out. Baseball is all about preparation. And the preparation is not for when you go well. The preparation is for when you're not going well. So you have something to draw back and go, I prepared myself today. It just wasn't my day. And that's what he's got to figure out. What is the daily preparation before the game on a consistent basis that's going to give me the opportunity to go on that field and have a chance for success? And I'd love to talk to him about that.
You talked about how, right, you grew up watching the Mets in Connecticut and how you wanted, obviously, to play better in New York. Anthony Volpe grew up as a massive Derek Jeter fan. When it's a team that you grow up and you were watching them as a kid and then it doesn't go well, just how much does that eat you alive all these years later?
It does, because, it's like, listen, for the family, the mom, the dad, or any brothers and sisters, wives, whoever it is, It's painful, man. Somebody's banging on your family member like that. That's painful. I don't care who you are. But we got to remember the reason this kid got drafted, and he got drafted for a reason, because he had the tools. Now we got to get in here and get everything smoothed out the right way so he could go out and perform. He all of a sudden just didn't become a bad baseball player. We need to get some mental, somebody who understands where he is and bring him up mentally and get him back and put your arm around the kid and try to get him going.
Wrap it up with Mo Vaughn once again. Mo Vaughn and Perfect Game have launched MVP, the Mo Vaughn podcast. The Red Sox, a lot of excitement entering the season. Garrett Crochet, right? They made the big move. People looking forward to the Red Sox again. And then they traded Rafael Devers, and everyone wrote them off. But this team's going to be in the postseason. How surprised are you that the Red Sox have still played really well, even after trading Rafael Devers back a few months ago?
It's surprising, but also sometimes one guy. And listen, I left the Angels. They went to the World Series. Maybe I was the problem, But you rally. People don't understand. You take something out, people rally around each other. I think that's what the Red Sox have done. Is rally around their entire team and going out and signed a couple. Got some young guys that got some snap and got some juice, and they're working well with it. So. I was shocked with the trade, but I also know you can't tell your employer, I'm not gonna do something and think nothing's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen, and that's where this whole thing worked. Went sideways. But for the Sox, they're right in it, and fan base. What do you call it? 10th man, whatever you want to call it, 10th man, whatever. You coming into Fenway Park, when it's tight, our environment is very, very good.
One last thing for you, Mo Vaughn. Before the season started, I had A-Rod on, and I said to him, I don't care what people say about the steroids and all that. Still, the best baseball player that I've ever seen was actually Barry Bonds. Shohei Ohtani obviously gets thrown into that conversation. Is Shohei the best baseball player you've seen? And if he's not, then who is?
I'm with you. I'm tired of people always knocking on the 90s like everybody did PEDs. Listen, we had great baseball players in the 90s. And some of the best players in the game, as you just mentioned, those names are from the 90s, and they're great players. And we need to recognize that. This guy, I actually saw him live down here at the WBC. He's like the 6'5", tall, long legs, strength under that uniform. He glides, like this guy can run. He can really run. And he's got a great swing. When he came here, he had the big leg kick. All of a sudden he fixed that. Got to be more in control. As a lefty batter in a major league box consistently. And he throws at 100 miles an hour. Because when he came in facing Mike Trout, that inning to win it, it was electric. Great player, great guy. He can do it all. And there's a lot of great guys out there that can play. He can do it though. He's one of the best we've ever seen.
Yeah, and you look at someone like Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, and let me be clear, I hate Roger Clemens.
Those two are my guys.
Yeah.
That's just the way that it is. Mm-hmm. Their greatness is their greatness. Why you hate Roger?
Well, I'm a Mike Piazza guy, and Roger Clemens had some rage and threw a bat at Mike Piazza. So I don't like Roger Clemens, but with that being said, even with the cheating and everything, he should absolutely be a Hall of Famer. I hate how they're trying to erase my era with guys like Rogers and Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, A-Rod,
These dudes were great players. I don't want to hear anything else. And I'm going to tell you one thing about Mike Piazza. Probably top 3 or 4 right-handed hitters I've ever seen. In terms of just when Mike wanted to turn it on, he could do it. He was exceptional. It was great to play with him.
Well, once again, make sure you check out Mo Vaughn and Perfect Game. They've launched MVP, the Mo Vaughn podcast. Get it wherever you do get your podcasts. And episodes will debut on Mo Vaughn's YouTube channel at noon Eastern and air at 8 p.m. Eastern. And you could also check perfectgame.tv as well. Episodes air every Thursday. They do come on out. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and all major platforms. I think we got everything right there, Mo, correct?
You did it. Thank you very much.
You got it.
Volpe, Anthony Volpe, come find me, bro. I got good words for you.
You got it. Thanks so much.
Right,
there
bro.
he is.
See you later.
The great Mo Vaughn joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Wow. I wasn't expecting to start the conversation with the Cowboys. Then we obviously get into the baseball. Good stuff there. We'll come on back with a little news brief next. But first, college football is back. Think you know the game? Put your knowledge to the test with DraftKings Sportsbook and turn your picks into big payouts. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code GELB. That's code GELB, G-E-L-B. I just did it the other day. I downloaded the app, first-time customer, deposited $5 in, and then I got $300 in bonus bets. You know, I got a lot of action on some of these games tonight with those $300 in bonus bets. Make sure you get that instantly when you bet just $5 in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Budo Casino and Resort Kansas. Fees may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Must be present in state where it is lawful to wager. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets are non-cash credits that expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms of responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Alrighty, news brief time on the Infinity Sports Network. So Micah Parsons was seen at the airport the other day. Where was he going? He's dealing with this quote-unquote back injury. Well, Jane Slater from the NFL Network has more.
When you've got the star on your helmet, there are eyes everywhere. I got the photos sent to me. It took place at DFW Airport around 10:30 this morning. And because of all of these trade rumors that have been percolating about Micah Parsons, the natural thought from a lot of folks was, well, is he headed to Green Bay? The answer is no. He is going to get a second opinion on his back. Quick refresher, he has been dealing with what he describes as back tightness. They did an MRI on him on Sunday. He came back clear. So the Cowboys have 3 days off. They get back to practice on Friday, and it looks like he is seeking some sort of resolution here. But if there is not a medical diagnosis for that back and he decides that he's going to sit out these games, he's looking at over $1 million a week of game checks that he'll be missing out on. And so we wait, but I did reach out to see if we've got an update on that back, and I have not heard anything back yet.
Yeah, the back injury. I don't really buy a back injury here. This is a contract issue. This is a hurt feelings issue. And then we get the report from Adam Schefter about 90 minutes ago that now the Cowboys are finally listening to trade offers for one Micah Parsons. Let's go to Trey Hendrickson. It didn't look like he was going to get a new deal for most of this offseason with the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, it's a modified deal. They did not put more years on that contract because the Cincinnati Bengals were being cheap and wouldn't give more guarantees when it came to the money outside of just 1 year on whatever the extension was going to be. So they bumped up that salary for just this season. Here's Trey Hendrickson on getting a deal done with the Bengals.
It's good to have it behind us. You know, we were getting close to the season. Incredibly humbling experience. So the priority was always the 2025 Bengals, whatever this looked like. Unfortunately for me, I can't write my own contracts. That's something that we had common ground in finding it, and that's what we're doing now, and that's what's best for the 2025 Bengals. I think is just to suit up and play, and incredibly humbled by the experience.
So why take a short-term deal then, Trey Hendrickson? Go ahead.
I can't write my own contracts. I think we'd all, as players, love to do that. There wasn't one that I saw long-term that I would have considered. So again, this compromise comes with a great amount of respect for me towards them. I'm incredibly honored and appreciative that I can play football at this level.
All righty, we will keep it moving. Let's go to Terry McLaurin. Did you get everything that you want on your new contract? It's 3 years, $96 million for Scary Terry.
I did. It was a long process, and there's no playbook or script on how to handle this situation, and so you start out one way, and then you hope that it ends the way it's ended.
And let's go to Chris Ballard. There's been a whole offseason of who's going to win your quarterback job. Now it's Daniel Jones. Anthony Richardson's going to be QB2. And still there's questions about Daniel Jones and this quarterback competition that we now know Daniel Jones is going to be the starter for Indy up against the Dolphins come week 1. And I think Chris Ballard is just getting all fed up with all the questions about the quarterbacks.
We do have like 51 other guys on the team. Do we have any other questions on the team? I mean, you can keep spinning this other one as many ways as you want, but we do have 51 other teams. Absolutely. And look, let me say this. They deserve to ask these questions. And I deserve, and look, I understand the doubt. I get it. And that's our job to go prove it at the end of the day. But like I said before, like when you win, it sure helps a lot of those issues.
This guy's exhausting, Chris Ballard. I've said it for years that he's an overrated general manager. And he's 30-37 since Phillip Rivers has retired. They have not made the postseason since then. And this guy, for some reason, is still the general manager. And you know when he should have just shut up? When you realize, I understand why the questions are asked, but let's talk about the other players on the team. Like, you know what people want to talk about. Most Mondays, it's what coach made the right decision, what coach messed up. Which quarterback made the right decision, what quarterback messed up. You have to sit there and answer the questions. That's your job. And you allowed this situation to get to this spot. So I don't want to have to play a small violin for you, Chris Ballard, and I don't feel bad for you. All right, let's go to Chris Greer. This is Chris Greer. I heard this answer, and obviously what people are doing to Chris Greer's family is disgraceful. With that being said, this is another guy that has been a GM for way too long. But there's a difference in being critical of someone and then just being a nasty a-hole. And what people are doing to Chris Greer's family is absolutely disgusting, and Chris Greer revealed what's been happening to his family. Go ahead.
People have always been respectful and nice, and they just say, hey, keep going, appreciate you. And so it's been, the guys to my face have been nice. I know there's people that are upset, but that's any job. And if I was comfortable and saying I felt great about what things are, then I'm an because I'm not being realistic about where we are as a team and where things are going. So after last season, I'm frustrated like they are that we didn't win enough games last year. I understand it. Like I said, I don't take things personally, but when I'm out, people have been generally, very positive and stuff to me. But I know there's guys. I've gotten some colorful emails from a couple people, including hoping my kids die of cancer, which is a fun one. I was like, there you go. So that's why I don't take things very personal or real, because other people have other issues and stuff in life.
Now, I'm not a big fan of Chris Greer, the GM, but let me be abundantly clear on this. If you are writing Chris Greer an email and wishing his child to die of cancer, you are the biggest effing loser on this planet. That's disgusting. At the end of the day, I know we're all passionate about football. It's a game. It's a game that we love. It's a game that we are passionate about. But because of him not being great at his job, you write him an email and you wish that his children die of cancer? Ugh, absolutely disgusting. Let's go to Bill Belichick. He announced his starting quarterback. UNC does play TCU coming up on Monday night.
Yeah, Gio's made a ton of progress. We evaluated things through training camp, and as now we get ready for TCU, he'll be our starting quarterback. So we'll give him the majority of the reps in practice. I feel very comfortable with him and what he's doing. I think he's ready, but I think he'll be, like everybody, more ready as we go forward.
So Gio Lopez, the new starting quarterback at UNC. Let's go to Coach Prime. He was on Coach Prime's playbook with Rami Bean. This is CBS Sports Colorado. Oh, Coach Prime doing interviews with Colorado again. How about that? Doing interviews with CBS at Colorado. How about that? Here is Coach Prime when talking about some of the Colorado fans and some of the puffy puff business that has impressed them.
Is there anything about Folsom, about this stadium that surprised you, that you didn't expect?
Yeah. The smell of weed in the second quarter, man, it surprised the heck out of me. Like, every game, I'm like, dang, it seems like it's like a light-up quarter. You know what I'm saying? So is this the quarter that y'all chose? I'm serious, it's a TV timeout. It never fails, and I'm like, wow, what's going on? Because, I've never been high a day in my life, so that's kind of new to me.
That's a Boulder essential, I guess.
Yeah, truly.
I would ask him 2 follow-up questions. Number 1, you've never been high in your life, and you were on a team with Michael Irvin. How is that possible? That'd be question number 1. And then question number 2 would be, can we make one of our fans and one of the great fans of the network, Delta 9 Brian, the official fan of the Colorado Buffaloes? I think Delta 9 Brian would enjoy himself out there in Colorado. Let's go to Dawn Staley. One more here, Post Moves podcast. So she interviewed for the Knicks job. Would she have taken the Knicks job if it was offered?
Would I seriously, I interviewed for the Knicks. I did. It was the same interview that everybody else that was in their candidate pool. Same thing. Went in, I thought I did pretty well. I was well prepared for the interview, right? If the Knicks would have offered me the job, I would have had to do it, okay? Not just for me, it's for women, for just to break open that I would have to, and it's the New York Knicks. And I'm from Philly, but it's the freaking New York Knicks.
So she didn't get offered the job, so it's kind of an irrelevant conversation. But yeah, you get offered that job and you're Dawn Staley. I don't understand how you wouldn't take it. Talking about coaching news, Jay Wright, he released this statement. After 3 amazing years with CBS Sports and TNT Sports, I've decided to step back from full-time broadcasting. It wasn't an easy call, but it allows me to focus on my role as a special assistant to the president at Villanova and to spend quality time with my family. Huge thanks to CBS Sports and TNT Sports. They are truly the best in the business. I'm grateful for the incredible experiences and friendships. I look forward to staying connected and collaborating with them on future projects. Jay Wright, you see him during the tournament. And I know he does some other stuff for CBS Sports, but him walking away from that job, it just doesn't pass the smell test right away. Like, oh, it's the focus on being the special assistant to the president of Villanova. There's got to be something more there. And he was good on TV. So start the speculation. Is Jay Wright ever going to come back to coaching? But I don't know. There has to be something more there. I don't understand why he would step away here just to focus on his job as the special assistant to the president of Villanova. You could still do both jobs. There's some. I would investigate that. I hope we get some answers there. All right, it is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will take a break. We will come on back. When we do return, we will hear about Urban Meyer and his thoughts on Arch Manning heading into this college football season. Update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Well, final days of August and week one of the college football season kicks off tonight with a top 25 team in action as number 25 Boise State meets South Florida at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. Broncos head coach Spencer Danielson glad the regular season finally here.
Really excited for our guys. All the prep, right? You go from January when one season's over, all the prep you do from now until kickoff, no different than South Florida, no different than every other FBS team heading into week one. I'm just excited to see our guys go cut it loose on Thursday night.
Lots of baseball action this afternoon. Christian Walker homered twice. Jose Altuve also went deep as the Astros knocked off the Rockies 4-3. The Red Sox topped the Orioles by a score of 3-2. Right now, bottom of the 8th in Milwaukee, and the Brewers trail the Diamondbacks by a score of 6-4. The Cardinals on top of the Pirates by a score of 4-1. Bottom of the 8th, Jordan Walker with a home run for St. Louis. And the shortstops have traded home runs in San Francisco. The Cubs and Giants even at 2 in the top of the 5th. Both Dansby Swanson and Willie Adames with home runs for their respective teams. I'm Rich Eisen.
This is Rich Eisen. Get all your sports talk on The Rich Eisen Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Always available on the free Odyssey app.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show.
All right, it is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Let me tell you right now about my friends at Wesley Financial. This portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. Let's hear from Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer was on the Joe Klatt Show, obviously a college football podcast. And you have Ohio State up against Texas coming up on Saturday at noon Eastern time. And what a weekend of college football we have. Just on Saturday, you have Texas and Ohio State. Then the 3:30 slate, you got Alabama, and Alabama's going up against Florida State. And then at night, you do have the Battle of Death Valley with Clemson and LSU. And then you flip the page to Sunday. And on Sunday at night, you got Notre Dame and Miami. Before that, you do have Virginia Tech up against South Carolina. And then on Monday, you get to see what, TCU is going to look like as UNC. Coach Bill Belichick here, Chapel Bill. And, I'm got my gold digging girlfriend, with the trademark, Jordan Hudson. And we're going to see what happens on the football field on Monday. Who does Belichick play UNC week 2? Because if it goes bad and they play Charlotte, that's going to be a bleep storm. If they lose Monday, that's a bleep storm. Now, Santa kind of looked at me with his eyes like wide open when I said the gold-digging girlfriend, but that's a play on the jewelry line that she is filing the trademark for. So I think that is open. I think that's fair. I think that's fair game. But if TCU beats UNC, I would not want to be Bill Belichick on Tuesday. He may be crying in Jordan Hudson's arms. And then, they play Charlotte the next week. And that's, I think, a short week. Is that right? Well, yeah, because they play on Monday. Okay, that's why. But Monday, it is a short week. They play in that Saturday. So what are you going to get Belichick afterwards? We're on to the 49ers. We're on to Charlotte. Charlotte 49ers. We're on to Charlotte. Be the new on to Cincinnati. Yeah, that's potential Tuesday lead of the show, actually, Samter. If Belichick and UNC just get slaughtered by the Horned Frogs of TCU.
I feel like the lead is going to be
what Jordan Hudson wears to the game?
No, I was going to say what we ate on Labor Day. Some delicious barbecue.
I don't know. We got to see how Stu eats. Stu has a few good posts here or there. You talk a big barbecue game, but, I haven't been able to sample anything yet, so.
You've seen my barbecue.
Yeah, I've seen photos of them.
No,
I don't know if they're real.
I brought it in.
I've never tasted any of your food.
No, you haven't tasted it, but you've seen me eating my food on the air while I'm talking to you.
Someone else could make that. You could pick it up. Who knows?
That's a good point.
I don't know. I don't just believe everything that I get told. I ask questions. I just got to question things.
Just going to say North Carolina's schedule does not look all that tough.
Well, I've been saying this all summer long. Like, I can't tell you much about the North Carolina team. I don't know really what to expect. Yesterday, Danny Cannell said they're going to be boom or bust. They're either going to win 4 games or they're going to win 10 games. Like, that's what he thinks is going to happen with this team. But you got the greatest coach of all time. I know he's never coached in college, but you played TCU, Charlotte, Richmond, UCF, Clemson, California, Virginia, Syracuse, Stanford, Wake Forest, Duke, NC State. Let me try to be critical here. Let's say they lose to TCU. Then they beat Charlotte. They beat Richmond. Then let's say they beat UCF. Then they lose to Clemson. Let's say then they beat California, then lose to Virginia. Let's say they then lose to Syracuse. They beat Stanford. Then let's say they beat Wake Forest. Then they lose to Duke, and then they beat NC State. Like, that's 7 wins right there. And I was being pretty critical, I think. Anyway, here's Urban Meyer. He was on the Joe Klatt Show, a college football podcast, on Arch Manning in his first game versus Ohio State.
Arch Manning hasn't done a thing yet. I went back, because I've said a few times and some people hit me back saying, what are you talking about? I'm hearing the word Heisman. I'm hearing the word national champion, first pick overall. And I went back and rewatched it just recently. He's a good player. I mean, he's a really good player, but he's not, get a couple first downs. The other thing I would add with both these quarterbacks, I'd be very restrictive as far as throwing that ball between the hash marks.
So there's a ton of pressure, obviously, on Arch Manning. We have talked about this ad nauseum at this point, that there's no individual under more pressure this, not Belichick, not Coach Prime, not Kalen. There's no individual who's under more pressure this year than Arch Manning. And it's not even close. So take Arch off the table. Let's go the player. Who is the player this year in college football? If you can't say Arch Manning, that's under the most pressure. Samter, I will start things off with you.
For me, I'm going to go with Ohio State's quarterback, Julian Sayin. First of all, 5-star quarterback.
Wow.
Went to Alabama, went to Ohio State. He's following in Will Howard's footsteps. There's all these question marks. First game of the season, he's going up against the hype machine in Arch Manning. There is so much pressure on him to live up to the expectations of his recruiting class, of his numbers, and to repeat at Ohio State, going up against Arch in that first week. I think there's a ton of pressure on Sayin.
So I don't. And I think that team just has to beat Michigan this year. They're a national championship contender. but they're not, I don't walk into the season saying that, oh, he's a top 3 pressure guy in college football or top 4, because you take one, we'll get Connor's answer, I'll give you my answer, and we're taking Arch off the table. Connor, who's your answer?
Yeah, so I'm going to go down to Ryan Hickey's neck of the woods here. Go with Drew Aller. I don't know how you look at this guy and you don't see pressure right there. We obviously remember the last time he was on the football field against Notre Dame, didn't look too great.
Yep,
And then obviously, just Penn State's overall need for production in a big-time game from their quarterback.
Yeah, so I was deciding between Drew Aller and then Cade Klubnik. And ultimately, I went with Cade Klubnik because people have a slightly higher view of Cade Klubnik than Drew Aller ending the season. I think most people consider him right now the best quarterback in college football. And also, you look at Clemson, they had Deshaun Watson, they had Trevor Lawrence, and since then, it's been ugly at the quarterback position. DJ Uiagalelei did not perform up to the expectations, and now a lot of people believe Clemson could win a national championship this year, so I will put Cade Klubnik right there. Okay, we will take a break. We'll come on back. We'll reset the Cowboys a little bit and Micah Parsons as they are now listening to offers for him. Also, we are going to do this QB and coach or that QB and coach. We will get to that on the other side when the Zach Gelb Show continues in 5 minutes.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, welcome back in. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. Obviously, the biggest story of the day is that Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys, well, things aren't going well right now. And according to Adam Schefter, the Dallas Cowboys are at least listening to trade offers for one Micah Parsons. So it shall be determined what ultimately happens. RJ Ochoa, he joined us earlier, does a great job blogging the boys, editor-in-chief, covering the Dallas Cowboys. And RJ Ochoa predicted that at some point this season, Micah Parsons will play for the Dallas Cowboys. Remember, they kick off the season in Philadelphia Thursday. We'll be doing the show live in Philly on Thursday. I'll be going to that game that night between the Eagles and the Cowboys. And what we got from RJ Ochoa is he thinks at some point Micah will play for Dallas, but then in the offseason, he believes that Micah Parsons is going to get traded. So RJ Ochoa is expecting this will be the final season for Micah Parsons with the Dallas Cowboys. And it's kind of wild that we got to this point, because when it first happened, I believe most of us thought, oh, this will be another offseason of drama, and then they will get the deal done, because that's what we saw recently with CeeDee Lamb, and to a bigger point, Dak Prescott last year. But as this did go on, Jerry Jones took 2 shots at David Malgoletta, the agent for Micah Parsons. One said he doesn't even know his name. And then the second one where he reiterated there's only 2 people that are basically allowed to negotiate here, and it's Jerry Jones and it's Micah Parsons. And the agent will just, when Jerry says so, will basically cross the T's and dot the I's on the contract. So that's where we're at. Micah, we know, has already requested a trade. Now he has this Fugazi, what I think is a Fugazi back injury. And he was seen in the airport the other day, and Micah Parsons is now getting a second opinion. None of us has got an update on what that second opinion is, but there is a game 7 days from now. And will Micah Parsons, like if I'm Micah Parsons, is what I would do. I would not play on Thursday. Or I would show up, check myself in for a play, and then say to yourself, say to Schottenheimer, coach, my back hurts again. Fall down, do something like that. Oh, my leg hurts. Because if you really don't want to be there, the Cowboys, even though they're listening, they don't have to trade you right now. But Micah's starting this up with the back injury, right? The Jalen Ramsey playbook here. And if the Cowboys don't trade you until Thursday, well, what leverage do you have? If your end goal is seriously, I do not want to be in the Cowboys anymore. And it's one thing to say it. It's another thing to have action. Myles Garrett, I don't want to be a Cleveland Brown anymore. Boom. $40-something million a year changes that. If you really don't want to look back here and you don't want to see Jerry Jones and be like, Jerry, you know what? We'll hug, we'll embrace. We'll get this deal done. I love you. If you really want off the Cowboys, you use Thursday as a platform. And you have two options Thursday. You either show up, you tell the Cowboys you're not playing, and you're sitting on the sidelines or you're sitting in a box and the TV broadcast is talking about you, or you play, you at least accrue the game so you can get through this season, and then the next year it's free agency, even though the Cowboys, they can tag him twice, right? And they would tag him twice if they need to, or at least 1 year. And after a play or two, you check yourself out, you tap out, and even though you're spitting in your teammates' faces that way, could you imagine that story? And I think Cowboys fans right now, as RJ Ochoa said, at first it was anti-Jerry Jones. Now people are getting fed up and tired with Micah Parsons when he's lying on a table in a preseason game, right? If he's just not going to play, like, make that known before the game. And there's a chance he flies Wednesday with the Cowboys and he gets there Thursday, he goes, oh, my back hurt, I'm not going to play. But if he taps himself out of the game mid-game with a quote-unquote injury that's not actually an injury, and it's a contract injury, I think a lot of Cowboys fans would be really livid at Micah Parsons. Visa negotiations, we'll see what happens. Man, I released a pie chart earlier, and it was where does Micah Parsons sign his next long-term contract with? And the pie chart read 40% with the Cowboys, 20% with the Packers, Rams 12%, Broncos 8%, 6% with the Chargers, 5% with the Pats, 4% with the Raiders, 3% with the Lions, 2% with the Bills. As this show goes on and on and on, like when Santa asked me for the rough draft of the percentages, and this was at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, so before we knew they were even listening to trade offers, I had it like 58% that he'd be back there. I already dropped it to 40, and that was an hour ago. And now as you sit here an hour later, it feels like that number is going down and down and down. It really does. Like, Santa, let me ask you this, because this is where I think most of us struggle. We've seen a lot of these play out with Jerry Jones. And when he wants to get the deal done, he gets the deal done. This seems different than Emmitt Smith. This seems different than CeeDee Lamb. This seems different than Des Bryant. This seems different than Dak Prescott. This is different. This is personal with the agent. This is now personal with Micah because you are offending his agent and not even giving him the respect that an agent should get. And you're looking around at this. I'm not saying a deal can't get done. Heck, I predicted an hour ago 40% Micah's next contract is with the Dallas Cowboys. But as this goes on, and the more you think about it, and now they're letting it known, hey, we're listening to offers, that's the conflicting part. Because there's so much previous history where Jerry gets the deal done, and you just got to kind of dance for your money, and there's drama. But then it's, well, Zach, this one feels really different, and Micah's already standing up and fighting back as the other players wouldn't with the disrespect. You know, Emmitt obviously held out for a few games. CeeDee Lamb got his money. Dak was a good soldier through all that. But Micah is now fighting back, and I don't even think he's turned it up to the highest degree of fighting back yet. Like when you release the statement, you release the statement. I think it's in one ear, out the other, and people necessarily don't always believe it, especially with the recent history of Myles Garrett's statement. But then when you start up with this back crap, that's where my heightened awareness, that's when my antenna kind of went up and was like, oh, this is a little bit different. And then you factor in the agent stuff too, and what Jerry said about the agent. And now we're sitting here today, and the Cowboys, they're kind of fighting back through Schefter and company, Todd Archer and Dan Graziano. Oh, well, we're at least listening to offers now. So that's like, I'm at a crossroads here where all the previous history that tells me this deal gets done, and now Micah, they're running, and they just smacked. That was a good clap. That was a better clap than Jackson Dart with John Gruden in that QB camp, I'll tell you that. But they just smacked right together. And when you look at all the debris from the crash and everything, and they're trying to pick things up, I really don't know where this is going to go. So, Samter, give me an educated Samter guess here. What ends up happening ultimately with Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, according to Ian Rappaport 10 seconds ago, and from Athletes First.
Is this an actual blue checkmark verified, not some crazy report?
I mean, I'm literally looking at this right now. So Athletes First, which is his agency, 20,000 followers.
Oh, my God.
And Ian Rappaport.
Wait. Adam Schefter.
It looks like it's
Is this to the Packers?
According to Athletes First, they have a picture of Micah Parsons in a Packers uniform, and they said Micah is now the highest paid non-QB in NFL history.
Oh, my God.
Deal negotiated by David Mulugeta of Athletes First.
Yeah. No,
Micah Parsons is a Packer.
Oh, my God. Holy crap. This is crazy. Micah Parsons is a Green Bay Packer. Yeah, wow. Adam Schefter. Cowboys are trading 3-time All-Pro linebacker Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. Parsons and the Packers have already reached an agreement on a 4-year, $188 million contract. David Mulugeta of Athletes First had a hand in the trade and ultimately negotiated the record-breaking contract that includes $120 million fully guaranteed at signing and makes Parsons the highest-paid non-QB in NFL history. Wow. Kobe White, that's crazy, bro. So there you go. I don't know what the return is. I don't know what the Cowboys get back. I don't care what the Cowboys get back right now. Good on Brian Gutekunst. You took advantage of Jerry Jones. You took advantage of what transpired with Micah Parsons and this nonsense with the Cowboys and Jerry Jones. And boom, you go get a player that is supposed to take you to that next level. The Packers right now are viewed as a good team. A good team. They were viewed as a good team. Now they get thrown. Now they get elevated into a Super Bowl contending conversation. And how about the NFC North? It is absolutely loaded with the Lions, the Packers, the Vikings, even the Bears. This is an effing awesome move for the Go Pack, go! Holy smokes. Is there anything here on the return? You had the return. Go ahead.
Rappaport says 2 first-round picks, but I'm seeing some that say at least 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, so it's going to be 2 first-round picks, maybe a player and then some, or at least 2 first-round picks and then other picks.
And Micah Parsons did release a statement as well.
This is crazy. Just to start the NFL season. Right at the start of the NFL season, boom, Micah Parsons gets traded. And now here's the other part of it. The other part is, what the heck are the Cowboys doing this year? So you have Dak Prescott. You have CeeDee Lamb. You have George Pickens. A lot of uncertainty in the running back position. The offensive line still a question mark. Oh, my God. This is just nuts. This is mayhem. And, you know, you look back, the Packers have been that team that's been speculated. They have been speculated. And when I did this pie chart, I put the Packers as the team that was the highest that aren't named the Cowboys. But a good job by them. And oh my God, like, it's not stunning. It's not stunning that he got traded because right during the show, even RJ Ochoa said to us, hey, it kind of feels like that he'll play this year and then he'll get traded. And I asked him, if he gets traded tomorrow, I think I said to the Packers. I think that was the team that I threw out there. Or the Rams. Like, would that stun you? And nothing at this point now would stun you, anybody. But the fact that you actually get the news and you get the tangible news right there that he's going to the Green Bay Packers, holy bleeping smokes. So once again, this is a 4-year deal, $188 million with Green Bay. and $136 million guaranteed. I think those are the numbers that I read. So Samter, just double check those for me one more time. 4 years, 188, and $136 million guaranteed. Now, you know what we're going to do this segment? We were actually going to play you audio from the fan in Dallas. And the fan in Dallas confirmed Adam Schefter's report that Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons originally agreed on a 5-year deal worth $202.5 million before the pass rusher's agent, David Malagueta, got involved. So, Samter, are those numbers correct that it's 4 years, 188, $136 million guaranteed?
According to Schefter, yes.
And the deal that reportedly was already agreed upon with the Cowboys before Malagueta got involved was 5 years, $202.5 million. So they obviously, the Cowboys deal was tacked on an extra deal. This one is just a 4-year deal. Good for Green Bay. Good for Green Bay. And you know what? The Hickey Hex is still always undefeated. Chances the Cowboys trade Micah Parsons, 0%. Chances by week 1 that Micah is the highest paid defensive player in the NFL history, 100%. This is Jerry Jones to a team. When push comes to shove, the deal will get done, but he wants to ensure the Cowboys' relevance at every step of the way. That was from Ryan Hot Take Hickey on August 1st.
I mean, he was half right. He did say highest played non-quarterback before the season, so
yeah,
he was half right. Update from Adam Schefter.
Okay.
Sources. Trade package includes 2 first-round picks and a front-line player. We don't know who that player is yet, but there seems to be a maybe Pro Bowl caliber or at least a starting player from the Packers heading over to Dallas.
Is that like a Romeo Doubs? Like when you say frontline player, I think a star. Romeo Doubs isn't a star, but he's a starter.
If the the Cowboys just added George Pickens to go CeeDee Lamb. If they're taking another receiver, that's insane.
Well, I don't think it is. Here's why. You got to outscore now all these teams. You got to be like the Bengals. Like, I'm not saying the Cowboys defense is going to be that bad, but you just lost your best defensive player. So
don't you want to add another defensive player?
Yes, but who are the Packers? I don't think they're trading you Kenny Clark. You know, I don't think they're trading you Xavier McKinney.
Quay Walker, former first-round pick.
Okay. Like, I'm just saying, I would not be surprised if it's a wide receiver, especially when, right, the Cowboys, they were talking about maybe even adding another wide receiver just a week ago. You know, you got CeeDee Lamb, you got George Pickens. I don't think it's crazy to say maybe it's a wide receiver. Now, that's just me guessing. So that's just in the moment me guessing. But Romy, you know what? You know why that's in my brain? Because over the weekend, whenever they're speculating the Packers,
wow,
you have the player?
I have the player.
Offense or defense?
Defense.
Is it a notable player?
Yep.
Do I know this person?
You do.
Kenny Clark?
It is.
Oh!
Kenny Clark and 2 firsts. So you know what? Listen, you're not replacing the sacks, but Kenny Clark is a beast.
Kenny Clark is an underrated player.
He
Actually,
is a beast.
Kenny Clark has been on this show a lot. And I said, and I would just texted him last week, wishing him good luck on the season. 2 first-round picks in Kenny Clark. So Kenny Clark's really good.
3-time Pro Bowler, 2019, 21, and 23.
But what are those 2 first-round picks going to be? Like, the Packers, bare minimum, are a playoff team. So they're in the 20s. Do they maybe use them next year, future ammunition, and then you trade up in the... Like, I don't know. But that's the... Oh, my God. I'm just laughing here. This is all funny to me. Micah Parsons traded to the Green Bay Packers. New deal done. 2 first-round picks. Kenny Clark back to the Dallas Cowboys. Holy effing smokes.
I am seeing a few pictures circulating of Micah holding a Luka jersey and Luka holding a Micah jersey. And boy, are Dallas fans in hell right now.
Yeah, and he said it to us the day Luka got traded, or like right we had it, he's like, it makes me think maybe I'll be next. Oh my God. This is something. Something. Whew. All right, we'll react more to it on the other side. Forget everything else we were supposed to do. We're talking Micah Parsons traded to the Packers. We react more to it next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show.
Well, mayhem is just really happening in the studios, and it's crazy so much that my headphones are all tangled up. I'm not even kidding. I don't even have headphones on because of the fact that during the break, I was reading all this stuff on social media as Micah Parsons got traded to the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, that's right, if you're just tuning in. And I guess I was twirling my headphones around while I was reading all this stuff and just scrolling. And now I'm trying to get my headphones in my ear, and I can't even do it because the cord's all messed up. There we go. How about that? That's how you watch us on YouTube, by the way. You get to see me untangle the wires right there. Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark. Woo! Just crazy. You know, testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Is this thing on? So Micah has been on this show quite a few times. I talked to Micah Parsons at the Super Bowl this past year, and it was right in the aftermath of the whole Luka Doncic trade. Let's listen back to that conversation. We could play it right now.
What was your first reaction to seeing Luka get traded to the Lakers?
And my mouth dropped. And I got scared myself. I said, am I the next person in Dallas? You know, because you really never know what happens. And obviously, I had the ankle thing this year, and I thought that was the reason why I thought it was so important to get back because, you know, your best ability is availability. And the fact that they didn't appreciate Luka for all he's done for them, taking them to a conference final. I would have, the finals and, doing all he did and being a 5-time All-NBA just wasn't enough. And I think that's extremely disappointing. I think when you invest in a player and he's showing you so much love and did so much for your program, you would think the loyalty is still right there back. And obviously you see these sports it isn't. So it's super frustrating and sad. It makes you sad.
Well, you got 1 year left on your deal. Do you think the loyalty will be there for you? Do you expect to get something done with the Cowboys this offseason?
I will hope so.
So there's no trade requests coming from you? I know, right? People see Myles Garrett with the trade request the other day. People go, oh, I wonder if Micah's going to follow suit there.
No, I don't plan on following suit. As long as I get a deal done, I think I'll be pretty happy.
That's wild to listen back to, folks. That was in February. It's now August, and he's not only traded, but the new deal's done with the Green Bay Packers. Here's a statement from Micah Parsons. So, this stuff was all basically agreed upon today. They were crossing the T's and dotting the I's, and then you get this report that leaks out that they're listening to offers. This had to be already done. Like, this just Jerry finally 2 first-round picks and Kenny. Couldn't they have got more? I'm sitting there, 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark. It's rich. But you're not telling me that you couldn't have got more here? Like 2 back first-round picks probably, and Kenny Clark is a very good player. But for this to come together this quickly, what did they just take the first offer that was there? Yeah, Mike?
Well, I will say this. So, Diana Rossini actually just put out a really interesting comparison, side-by-side comparison. The most obvious comparison, obviously, is the Khalil Mack trade.
Yeah.
So, Chicago received Khalil Mack, a second-round pick, and a 5th. The Raiders received 2 firsts, a 3rd, and a 6th. So, now you look at the Cowboys. Cowboys get Kenny Clark and 2 firsts just for Micah. It feels like the Cowboys got more in return than did the Raiders. Because the Raiders got back a 3rd and a 6th, but also gave up a 2nd and a 5th.
Now I will say, though, the picks that the Cowboys are getting back, barring just everyone, they're going to be 27, 28. Like, they're going to be pretty far back. The Packers are a bona fide Super Bowl contender now. They could win the NFC. Who's going to win the NFC North? Lions, Vikings, Packers? It's a great question. Now, here's the latest from Micah Parsons. And just your mic's on, Mike, so just turn it off, please, just because of the typing. Here's the statement from Micah Parsons. Cowboy Nation, Growing up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, I was one of the few kids in my neighborhood who cheered for the Dallas Cowboys. Nearly everyone around supported the Eagles, but I always believed in the Star. What's going on? How about them Cowboys? Oh, my God. A guy that is, I had no clue who that was at first. And I said, Ack is running up. Like, what the heck is Ack doing? And then I got kissed on the forehead, and it was Sean Marash. Can I file an HR violation? Marash just kissed me on the back of the cabeza. Well, even on the forehead. It was back of the cabeza. Oh, my God. So this is the statement from Micah Parsons before we got rudely interrupted by Sean Marash. How do you think down the hall would work if I just walked into their studio and screamed, how about them Cowboys like that? Portly just walked in like that.
If it was breaking news, I think that they'd be all for it.
Breaking news happened 27 minutes ago. Here we go.
Well, he's in New York. This is breaking for him.
Yeah. I think Marash misses us down here. Growing up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, I was one of the few kids in my neighborhood who cheered for the Dallas Cowboys. Nearly everyone around supported the Eagles, but I always believed in the Star. To wear the blue and white at Penn State and then carry those same colors into the NFL as a Cowboy, it was more than a dream. It was destiny. From the moment I arrived in Dallas, you embraced me and my family as your own. You made a kid from the East Coast feel right at home in Texas. Every time I pulled up to work, every time I stepped onto that field, I felt the weight and pride of representing you. You didn't just give me a jersey. You gave me a place to belong. I never wanted this chapter to end, but not everything was in my control. My heart has always been here and still is. Through it all, I never made any demands. Well, that's not true. I never asked for anything more than fairness. I only asked that the person I trust to negotiate my contract be part of the process. So here we go with the agent stuff, which is fair. This is a sad day, but not a bitter one. I'll never forget the joy of draft night, the adrenaline of running out of the tunnel, or the brotherhood I shared with my teammates, coaches, and the staff who prepared me for every single game. Those memories are mine forever. North Texas will continue to be my home in the offseason. I'll still be here giving back to the community that gave me so much. And no matter where the next chapter takes me, the bond we've all built will never break. Thank you, Cowboy Nation, for every cheer, every moment, and every ounce of love you showed me. Wearing the Star has been the honor of my life. With gratitude and love, number 11, Micah Parsons, as obviously he was traded to the Green Bay Packers today for 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark. Whew. It's kind of still crazy. We've been talking about this the entire show, about the possibility of him getting traded. And if you would have said to me today, right as we opened up the show with Micah, that at 5 p.m., like roughly a few minutes after 5 p.m. Eastern time, you would already know that Micah Parsons is traded and agreed to do a contract and has a new team. If you would have said by the end of the show that news would drop, I would have never believed it. Like, I understand it was a possibility, but the idea that it would happen in the course of 2 hours, less than 2 hours, that we'd already know where he is and where he's going next, oh my goodness gracious. This is a crazy bleeping day. It really is. And now, there's not much to expect of the Cowboys this year. I thought they were a fringe playoff team. I thought they were 8 or a 9-win team, like in that range. Now you don't have Micah Parsons. I know you get 2 future first-round picks. You get Kenny Clark back. But if I'm a Cowboys fan, I'd be furious today. I'd be absolutely furious. Because you read that statement from Micah, and what is it marinated in? That he's annoyed that his agent wasn't treated with respect. And I can't crush Micah Parsons for that. Holy smokes. That's really what it is. All right, well, come on back. We'll take your calls, too, on this. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476 if you want to react to Micah Parsons getting traded to the Green Bay Packers. Update time. Here he is, the Ack Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Oh, a huge story as the holiday weekend approaches. The standoff between Micah Parsons and the Cowboys is apparently over, and it comes to a shocking conclusion. The Cowboys reportedly trading the All-Pro to Green Bay, and the 3-time All-Pro has agreed to a 4-year deal worth a total of $188 million with $136 million in guaranteed money. Dallas, in return, gets 2 first-round picks and defensive tackle Kenny Clark for by far its best player on the roster. They're 1 week away from the start of the NFL season. Tonight, the college football season officially opens with Week 1 and 1 game in the top 25, and it's number 25 Boise State taking on South Florida in Tampa. Baseball this afternoon, bottom of the 8th. The Cubs and Giants are even at 3. Michael Busch with his 25th home run of the season for Chicago in that one. Elsewhere, the Red Sox edge the Orioles 3-2. The Diamondbacks down the Brewers 6-4. The Astros get a pair of Christian Walker home runs in a 4-3 win over the Rockies. And the Cardinals down the Pirates 4-1. I'm Rich Acker.
Heyo, sports fans. It's Pat Boyle here on the Infinity Sports Network. Check us out 24/7 on Sirius XM, channel 375.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. From the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh, my God, we're back again.
I will say something that's very funny that I'm seeing on social media right now. I got a few tweets on this. One was from our old pal, Ernie Acosta. Another is from a listener named Reed. What do you think they're immediately going to with this Micah Parsons trade, Samter, that has to do with us specifically, that people are now resurfacing, that is on my timeline a little bit? What do you think that is?
Is it the Micah versus TJ Watt?
No. Close. Another viral moment that happened.
You tell me.
Warren Sapp.
Ha! Why?
This guy Reed says, remember when this dumbass, quote tweeting Warren Sapp joining us, saying that basically Micah Parsons is no good and Abdul Carter's overrated. Remember when this dumbass scoffed at Parsons and now Parsons is the highest paid non-quarterback 6 months later? Ernie Acosta. Warren Sapp thinks the Packers overpaid for Micah Parsons. So it's just some good stuff there. So the news today, and I'll just keep on repeating it. 2 first-round picks, Kenny Clark going to the Cowboys. Micah Parsons goes to the Packers. It's a 4-year, $188 million deal, including $136 million guaranteed. Oh, my God. And we were live on the air as that news was breaking. You know who had it first? Cap was in the YouTube chat. Cap goes, breaking news, and then Santa's like looking around, and I was just talking. I wasn't looking at social media. And I'm talking. Santa was cutting up something that we were going to play for you, Micah Parsons related, and Santa goes, oh, no, we got breaking news. And I'm like, he got traded? That was crazy.
I had to double and triple confirm it before it came to air with it.
Quadruple, of course. You know, really. That's just wild. It's one of those days you always remember. You know, I've been on the air for some crazy days. You know, the other two are probably more morbid. This one they're definitely more morbid. This one is just breaking news, and it's like, wow, Micah Parsons traded. But I was on the air actually for a few crazy things. When the world shut down and the Rudy Gobert had the coronavirus, and I remember speaking in the microphone, this is going to change the world as we know it. Like, I remember saying that. As one take I actually got right. I wanted to be wrong about. Then I was on the air while the DeMar Hamlin stuff happened, which was so scary. And then when Aaron Rodgers ruptured his Achilles. And then you get, boom, breaking news like this. Like, you never know if you're going to be on the air when the news breaks. And obviously those three things, a lot more significant and a lot more impactful. And you're talking, right, DeMar Hamlin, it was life and death. It felt like Aaron Rodgers being out for the year. And obviously the world shutting down for a while. But being on the air when you get a moment like that where you get an instant reaction, it's like, boom, Santa says, Micah Parsons traded the Packers, deal done. We don't know what the return is, and you just got to go. Whew. Absolutely crazy. Because sometimes, right, this stuff breaks at 6:30, and you have to wait till 3 the next day to react to it, or it breaks like 15, 20 minutes, but on the air at breaking is really something. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Mike in Abilene, Texas, wants to talk about Micah Parsons. Mikey, what's happening?
Yeah, I just want to say that, man, I'm excited for my team that I've always been a fan of, the Houston Texans. Really excited for the new season and just happy to be another year as a Texans fan officially, and looking forward to that. Hey, no, Zach, I really just want to say congrats. I know it's probably a little less enticing now, but I saw via social media that you are now part of the Cowboys Network radio crew for the Cowboys games. Is that accurate?
Yeah, Compass Media Networks, who calls the Cowboys games nationally. I am doing their pre, half, and post, their studio hosting for 6 games this year. So, oh my God, I'm looking at the schedule right now. You know, I sometimes tell people this, like if
gonna be brutal.
Well, hold on. This is why I say, oh my God, because I sometimes tell people that I just have dumb luck. Like when I was at Temple, who would have known that Matt Rule would have gone on to be an NFL coach or a coach at Nebraska? Who would have known Deion Dawkins, a close friend of mine, and Hassan Reddick would have gone on to do what they did in the NFL? And other times, like when we booked Myles Garrett and then he requested trade, things like that. Well, here are my 6 games that I have this year, and 4 of them are Cowboys games. Cowboys at Bears, and then I'm on the call September 28th, Packers at Cowboys. Like, come on. With Micah Parsons getting traded, then Commanders at Cowboys and Vikings at Cowboys, and then 2 other NFL games. But, Mike, hey, I really appreciate the phone call. What are you thinking this weekend? Does Ohio State beat Texas?
I think we do. I think this will be a game for the ages, truly. Arch is ready. Sark's ready. I think we've turned a page. I like the narrative that I've seen and heard, which is we kind of are carrying a chip on our shoulder from just still the Michigan thing, I guess, and still not feeling like I feel like we got the natty, so we got some respect. And after we won that natty, people acknowledged the road that we took to get there. So I like that if that's true, though. This is what we need from Ryan Day. You're a great human to what we know. You are a good coach to what we know. You don't have that fire, that pizzazz, that, man, my players are going to go to bat for me, no matter what. And I think maybe now we do, and I think this is how we're going to prove it. Julian Sainz a 5-star. You cannot wish for a better opening to the season. You know what it is for me over here, man. I got 1 game circled. We got to get past that game, man.
Yeah.
If we don't, we will have the same conversation we had last year, and everyone will call us crazy, and we will stand our ground as crazy Buckeyes and get rid of them. But yeah, I think we handle it. I think it's going to come down to last possession. I can see maybe a 10-point victory if it's a 7-point game, and then the team with the ball last actually, makes a turnover or something, and the other team gets. I can see that. I can see a 7-point. I can see a 1-point walk-off field goal.
So you're taking Ohio State is what you're telling me up against Texas. Mike, I got to let you run just because I got to get to this in the aftermath of the Micah Parsons trade. Now going to the Green Bay Packers, we have updated lines when it comes to the NFC North in the gambling world. Connor, just do me a favor, entertain me. Bears, Vikings, you have the Packers, and you have the Lions. Those are the 4 teams in the NFC North. Who do you think has the lowest odds to win the NFC North?
Probably the Bears, right?
Yep, plus 600.
Yeah.
Who would you then say have the 3rd highest odds to win the NFC North? You go Lions, you go the Packers, you go the Vikings.
I'm going to say Minnesota.
Yep, plus 320. Who would you then say is 2nd?
I'm actually going to say the Lions now.
They just upgraded them? Yep. Plus 195, and right now, the winner on the odds world, to win the NFC North, the Green Bay Packers at plus 170. Like, what the Cowboys are... Let's do this real quickly. And I don't know if my new bosses at Compass Media Networks may like this, but I got to give you my opinion. And I'm very much looking forward to doing pre-half and post for the Cowboys this year. But let's just do this. Samter, you actually have been very optimistic about the Cowboys in the offseason. I think at one point you were like, they're going to be a 10 or 11 win team. Now without Micah Parsons, I'm just going to give you the game. You tell me win or loss for the Cowboys this year, okay? At the Eagles to open up the season.
L.
Giants, week 2.
Win.
At the Bears, week 3.
At the Bears? Oh, man, I'm going to say loss.
Packers, week 4.
Loss.
At the Jets, week 5.
Sorry, my boys. That's a win.
Okay. At the Carolina Panthers.
Win.
Commanders.
Loss.
At the Broncos.
Loss.
Cardinals.
Home.
Yeah.
Win.
All right, that's 4 wins. Bye week, then at the Raiders.
Win.
Eagles.
Loss.
Chiefs.
Loss.
At the Lions.
Loss.
Vikings. Sunday Night Football on NBC, yeah.
If it's
And
Sunday-
Compass Media Networks.
Sunday Night Football, I feel like that's a loss, but I could see it either way. Let's go loss.
Chargers.
Loss. That's a brutal schedule.
Now, that is a 1 p.m. Eastern time game. Does that change it? West Coast going to Texas.
No, I mean, going to Texas is nothing. It's two-hour time difference. It's not the East Coast thing, and that's kind of been debunked over the past couple of years.
At the Commanders. So you went loss.
Yeah.
At the Commanders.
I mean, this is like 6 straight losses. Loss, I guess.
And then at the Giants.
Win.
You have 6 wins.
Yeah.
Look, just look at that.
That's a tough schedule, though.
Okay, but you said 10 or 11 before the Micah trade. This was like a month ago. Now Micah's no longer there. You go 6 wins, and you know what? I don't think you're crazy. You know, if I just had to do this real quickly, lose to the Eagles week 1. Beat the Giants week 2. I'll say beat the Bears week 3. Lose to the Packers. Beat the Jets. Beat the Panthers. Lose to the Commanders. Lose to the Broncos. Beat the Cardinals. Beat the Raiders. So I have them 6 right now. And then, yeah, lose Philly. Lose KC. Lose the Lions. Lose the Vikings. Lose the Chargers. I'll say they beat the Commanders 1 time. And then I'll say beat the Giants 1. So I just gave them 8. And some of those you could disagree with. So you look at a team that was, all right, maybe 8, 9, 10 wins, right? And now it kind of feels like 8 is the apex. And this could be as low as like 5 or 6 wins. That's what happens when you trade Micah Parsons. And Kenny Clark's a good player. I like Kenny. He's been on the show a bunch. I'm a fan of Kenny Clark. But 2 first-round picks don't help you this year. And are any of those 2 first-round picks? Now, maybe they're, oh, boy. Can I throw out something here? This is so national radio. And I do think Arch Manning is staying. But you have 2 future firsts now from the Packers, plus your own first. Whether Arch comes out this year or next year, now one of those would be gone. Do you use that to maybe move up and get Arch? And then you trade Dak for something? Like, wouldn't that be so Cowboys? It really would. Now let's do this, Samter. Let's go Packers schedule here. Packers schedule will go win-loss with the addition of Micah Parsons, but you lose Kenny Clark. Packers open up the season against the Lions. Win or loss?
Man, riding this momentum at home?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with the win.
Commanders week 2, Thursday Night Football.
I think they'll split those 2, so I'm going to say loss.
Okay. At the Browns.
Win.
At the Cowboys.
Win.
Bengals.
Ooh, loss.
Okay, interesting. At the Cardinals.
Win.
At the Steelers.
Win.
Panthers.
Win.
Eagles, Monday night. Oh, that's a good game.
Loss.
At the Giants.
That's a win.
Vikings.
Win.
At the Lions.
They already beat them once. At Detroit, loss.
Okay, Bears.
Win.
At the Broncos.
Win.
At the Bears.
I'll say they split. Loss.
Ravens.
Loss.
At the Vikings.
Loss.
Okay, so you had 10 wins.
10 or 11. I could have gone either way with a couple of those games.
Okay, so now I'll do it. Lions, I'll say they lose week 1. Would be kind of fitting. Then they beat the Commanders. They beat Cleveland. They then smother the Cowboys. That's really the Cowboys' Super Bowl this year. I'll say they then beat the Bengals. They then beat the Cardinals. They'll beat the Steelers. They'll beat the Panthers. They'll lose to the Eagles. They'll beat the Giants. They'll lose to the Vikings. They'll have one win up against the Lions. They'll beat the Bears. I'll say they beat the Broncos. They then lose one to the Bears. They'll lose to the Ravens, and I'll say they. I forget if I said if they beat the Vikings or not. Yeah, I'll say they beat the Vikings here. 12 wins right there, and I think that's pretty fair. So we'll obviously react more to this tomorrow. You got some college football tonight. Boise State is already underway against USF. You also have Nebraska and Cincinnati at 9 p.m. Eastern time. But yes, the majority of the show, I would imagine, tomorrow. We're going to do a ton of college football. Obviously, it's week 1, and you got mega games. But I'm sure we'll bring on a Packer. I'm sure we'll bring on a Cowboy. And we got to react more to the news that we found out during the show that Micah freaking Parsons was traded from the Dallas Cowboys to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark. Mo Vaughn, who's a Cowboys fan, he's not happy. He joined us earlier. RJ Ochoa joined us as well. We thank him. And big thanks to Connor, big thanks to Samter, big thanks to Ack, and most importantly, big thanks to each and every one of you. We'll be back tomorrow on a Football Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. JR will have you next, and I'm sure he'll be leading the show talking about the Cowboys. I'm Zach Gelb. I'm out. Bye-bye. Peace.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining.